Apparently, a great number of persons who call themselves Catholic believe that Francis is more Catholic than Jesus Christ. The comments that come are schooling the bishop about what the Catholic Church teaches. In other words, what Francis teaches. Our faith comes from Jesus Christ. The church is the mystical body of Christ resurrected. There's no separation between the two of them. So we can say that our faith comes from the church. And it comes from the church through the Supreme Pontiff, through the bishops, through the priests. When we act in accordance and obedience to the church. These men make it sound as if the man is the source from which the faith comes. That's because modernism puts man in the place of God. This is a modernist doctrine, and that's what these men, when they school the bishop, what they are doing is defending the modernist faith, not the Catholic faith. Yes, the modernist faith has their own priests, their own bishops, even their own supreme pontiff, their own pope, if you will. But they are not Catholic. To be Catholic means to adhere to all that Christ taught the apostles. So it does really appear within reason, that is, reason not enlightened by faith, that Francis is more Catholic than Jesus Christ. What a tragedy when men would be even put in a position to choose between adherence, obedience to who they think to be the Supreme Pontiff and Jesus Christ. That formula right there should tell you that it's an error. The vicar of Christ is not greater than the church. He is born from the church. Everything said about the papacy, everything said about the supremacy of Peter, all comes from the church and then is given into the hands of men to protect, defend, and to provide for the faithful the sacramental life of the church. For that life of grace comes from the church, through the bishops, including the Bishop of Rome. But when that man or any man defects from Christ, whenever he takes into his own hands an authority that stands in opposition, a treason against the kingship of Christ, the mystical body, that man needs to be deposed. If you cannot do it in civil authority, civil law, you must do it in your hearts. If you want to defend Francis, if you want to say to me as a bishop, you are disobedient, you need to submit to Francis, you need to show a good example to the rest of us, then you are wrong. The example, the good example that we show is our faith in action, the sacrifice of our faith, our love for God, not our hatred for men, but our love for God. And so we adhere to him. If you do send me such comments, I will respond, not in anger, not in hatred, but I will respond with a love for Christ and his church. And then you'll have to decide, is it Francis or is it Jesus Christ? Because it cannot be both. What Francis teaches is contrary to what Christ taught. And if you don't believe that, then read the Gospels. That's all you need to do. Read the Gospels and do not be unbelieving, but believe.